The state of California. It's a 2-acre property surrounded by woods. My siblings and I used to go there often as a family. Now that we're all adults, our schedules don't really work out to go there together. Anyway, when I was courting Rose, I mentioned our vacation home. On our 5th date in October, when the leaves start to change and create stunning natural beauty in Quincy, I suggested that we spend a weekend there. 2 days later, she said yes, and we were getting ready to drive there. I picked her up at her house and we hit the road. We talked the whole way there, covering topics like TV shows, family, and our childhood memories. We also listened to comedians and podcasts to pass the time. Eventually, we arrived in Quincy, and on the way there, we drove through a charming little village. I wanted her to see how nice it was. 10 minutes later, we were at the house. We have a little wooden fence at the driveway that we leave closed whenever the place would be vacant. It doesn't have a lock or anything. It's just a little deterrent for people to not enter the property while we're there. I got out of the car to open it, and then we drove past it onto the property. My dad has landscapers come every couple weeks in the summertime into the fall. So the property was very well kept when we were there. Rose was impressed. We were there just in time for lunch, so we unpacked, I gave her a tour, and then I turned the hot tub on so that the water would be hot enough for later. Then we went into town to go to one of my favorite spots to eat when we finished up. We did a little sightseeing and went to the Plumas County Museum. After that, it was starting to get dark out, so we headed back to the house. We relaxed in the hot tub for a while. The hot tub was on the back deck under the awning. It was really cold out, but it felt nice in the hot tub until we both could hear the crushing of leaves nearby like footsteps. We thought it was a bear, so we both jumped out of the hot tub and ran into the house. I turned off all the lights inside and outside, thinking the lights could be attracting a bear or some wild animal. I peeked out one of the windows, expecting to see a bear, but instead saw the silhouette of a human being walking along the side of the house. I ran to the back door to lock it and shut the blind on the back door window. I told Rose to be quiet. The footsteps circled the house until they got to the front door, then stopped after a moment of silence. There was a knock at the door and someone yelled, "It's the police." We were confused. I went to the front and said through the closed door, "Is there a problem?" The person on the other side said, "We got a breaking and entering call." I asked, "How's that possible?" "The nearest neighbor isn't for a quarter mile." There was a noticeable gap. In his response, he said, "I just need you to open the door, sir." I responded, "Sorry, I don't feel comfortable doing that." I then thought to peep out the window and see if there's actually a cop car parked out front. I kinked the blind to the front, just enough to see outside. It was twilight, outside dark, but with enough brightness still to make out the property. "And see no police cars out there," I said to Rose. "I don't think that's a real cop." The man outside knocked on the door again. I said through the door, "I don't see a cop car out there, so I don't feel safe," answering the door. The man didn't respond anything to this. When there was another moment of silence, we thought he already walked away. A couple minutes passed, and we were still in the living room talking to each other. Then heavy footsteps clumped away from the door. He'd been standing there still the whole time against our knowledge. I went over to peek out the window again, but I didn't see anyone. He must have walked off a different direction from the house. The scary thought was the house is surrounded by woods. He could come from literally any direction. We were definitely not going back outside again that night, besides me going outside real quick to turn off the bubbles in the hot tub. And from there we stayed in the bedroom, watching movies, and eventually went to sleep. I kept my dad's shotgun from the closet under the bed. The next day we went hiking in Pluma National Forest, then we went out to eat, and then we went to see a movie at the nearby theater when we got back to the house. It was getting dark out. We pulled onto the property and Rose screamed, "Oh my God," and I damn near swerved the car, thinking I was about to hit something. I slammed on the brakes and said, "What?" She pointed at someone, quickly walking away from the house towards the woods until they disappeared into the darkness. I tried to keep Rose calm when she started freaking out that someone's stalking us. I told her, "It's fine, we have a gun and we're leaving tomorrow morning." Anyway, I was kind of scared too though. I pulled the car as close as possible to the house. Then we quickly went inside. I did a quick run around of the house, making sure every door and window was locked. We didn't go outside again that night. We packed our things to be ready in the morning and then went to the bedroom happened every few seconds, and then it would stop for a few seconds. I couldn't make out what it was, but something was going on out there. I feared that person maybe came back. I waited until the noises stopped completely before quietly getting out of bed to not wake up Rose. The guy on the other side of the glass was clearly attempting to peer in at me as I approached the window, twisted the blind slightly, and found myself face to face with him. Screaming, I stumbled backwards. Jesus, Messiah. Rose woke up. I didn't say anything, though. I grabbed the shotgun from under the bed and made sure it was loaded before running out the back door and shooting it into the air while screaming like a madman trying to scare off that man and whoever else could have been out there. Sounds from outside. We made it through the night, and the next morning I did call the police just to file a report on the whole thing. I was in Tabernash at this time, going across Colorado at some ungodly hour, maybe about